What do you do when there's a lost guy who goes to your church regularly when he starts showing you a little bit of attention? You should be gracious to all people and have a little bit of salt, not in the salty, stingy, rude kind of way, but as being a light for the gospel to them. So the question is, how do you communicate with a lost guy about the Lord graciously without offending them? And in this situation, these are some older teenagers and, viable dating-ish age, put it that way. And he's obviously showing her some attention. What should she do? Now, I know the question is how do you have grace and a little bit of salt and light to them? But that's not what my answer is. Really, I'm going to address it a little bit, but the answer is going to be a little bit bigger than that. I asked my husband his thoughts on this, and he said, "What? No, you shouldn't be playing with fire. That's fire. If he's talking to you, it means he likes you a little bit. And if you're asking this question, it's probably because maybe you like him a little bit. But either way, it's fire. Because we're supposed to be," he said it this passionately. And then he sent me a text with this outline of what the answer should be. Because he's a dad, and he's wise, and he knows the heart of men. And so I'm going to tell you what he said, and then he's like, and about that other stuff about communicating, you tell her your girl answers, because girls, they talk differently than boys do. So here is his answer. Number 1, tell your dad your heart about this issue. Be like, you know what, Dad? I kind of really like him. Maybe I like him just a little bit. Maybe I just like the attention that he's giving me. And maybe he'd get saved. And maybe this would be something that could move forward a little bit. But I just want you to know that this is how I feel, and this is what my instincts are. And let him know, because he knows you. He knows you probably better than you know you if you have a godly Christian father who's invested in you. And then he can just kind of keep an eye on that boy. The reason why he's keeping an eye on that boy and not you is because of point 2. Make him an acquaintance. Don't friend zone him. Make him an acquaintance. That's even more distant than a friend. It says, to where you are not making provision for the flesh to disobey, 2 Corinthians 6:14. Our hearts, the majority of women, our hearts are to be married and have a home and have a family and to please our husbands. And we want them. And the provision for our flesh is that we can be seriously blinded so quickly by somebody just because we believe that they like us or that they'll love us or that they'll grow in Christ or they'll get saved and they'll be that godly Christian leader that I've always imagined. The Lord will work in their heart, and that could be true. But it's still fire right now. And so you need to protect yourself from yourself. Protect yourself from those good desires within you. But he is not an option right now. Which leads to point number 3. Do not give him boxes to check off. This reminds me of a man was preaching at a prayer meeting last night. For it was a men's only, but this preacher had just flown in, and he said, I witnessed to people on the airplane, but the last time that I ever really won anybody to the Lord on an airplane was when I was 17 years old. And it was this girl sitting next to me, but I'm fairly certain that she didn't really get saved. I don't think I won her to the Lord. I think I won her to me because she thought I was cute. And that is a really, really real thing. That if you tell this boy, we're just going to have to be acquaintances because you're not saved. And he goes, check box. And I really want to marry somebody who loves the Lord and who's going to church. Okay, check that box. Need to go to church. And I want somebody who's going to be a good, godly leader. Okay, so I need to at least look like I'm a godly leader. All right, that's that box. And then rather than getting to know the Lord for the Lord's sake, he'll just check some boxes because men like a challenge. That's what my husband said. It now has become a challenge to do what it takes to get the girl. Which is really frustrating because don't you wish that good Christian guys would be like, I'm going to do what it takes to get the girl. And they're all like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to talk to her because that would mean that she might reject me and I would have to talk to her dad. And then there's all of these other guys who are like, I don't really care what her dad thinks. So I'm just going to do what it takes to get the girl. And then pray for God to work in his heart. And that's really all you can do. So how do you make him an acquaintance when you've already been obviously talking? And I know that it seems really hard, but the best advice I would give you is to be polite and cordial and don't make very much eye contact or smile. Because if you do want to get a guy to approach you, hey, girls out there listening on how to get a guy to approach you. Hey, guys out there listening on how to get that connection with a girl. It goes like this. So you stop looking down at the ground when they're around. And you look up and you go, hi. Eye contact, a smile, and an interaction. Even if you're not going to interact and you see somebody across the room and you just kind of look up and you see their eyes, and then you kind of acknowledge with a little smile. And they'll get the clue. And the opposite is true as well. When he approaches you and you go, hey, how you doing? It's nice to see you. And then you just kind of pull out your phone or something and you just start, doing other stuff. That's the way you have to create distance. Now, you could be a little bit more forthright and, say, I'm going to probably not talk to you as much, but that does create some awkwardness. It's all going to be awkward. Either way, just be polite, be distant, don't approach him, lessen your eye contact, lessen your smiles, and he'll know. It's the universal language for I've shut this down. So it's fire. Don't play with fire. Make not provision for the flesh. And God can work in his heart. Because the tendency is to think, but if I'm not there talking to him, then he's never going to get saved. And if that's the truth, then his heart isn't for the Lord. You've won him over to you. And once he has lost his fascination with you, he's got nothing with the Lord. So pray for him to see the Lord and invest in the Lord.